The sixth season of the Women's Big Bash League ended with Thunder winning their second title, and it was against Melbourne Stars, who were arguably one of the stronger sides in this contest. It was also a season where teams closely fought for making the top four, because till the last league stage, we weren't sure which the third and fourth teams were. And as with every tournament end, we gathered for picking up a team of the tournament. And here we are. And I have with me Gomesh and Ananya Upendran on the outside view, and we kind of start making a team of the tournament for Women's Cricket Zone. As I said, it was a closely fought contest, Ananya, and our difficulty in forming the 12, in choosing 12 players for our team of the tournament is pretty evident from the discussions we had a bit off air. And that's why we kind of decided, let's fix the 3 overseas players. And your arguments first, your 3 overseas picks.
Well, to be very honest, when I first jotted down my 11, I didn't realize that I had 5 overseas names. So, yeah, for me to cut those 5 down to 3 has been very difficult. But, I just feel like player of the tournament performance, you can't really look past Sophie Devine. So Sophie Devine was my first pick. Natalie Siver again had a very good all-round performance. She didn't get too many opportunities with the bat, but I thought she was exceptional through the tournament with the ball. Probably led that Melbourne Stars attack alongside someone like Catherine Run. So Natalie Siver was my second pick. And the third pick for me, it's between my favorite Mignon du Preez and Heather Knight, but I guess Knight for me kind of pips du Preez simply because, she was the central figure in that Sydney Thunder win, probably dragged them through that first phase of the tournament. One of the highest run getters in the tournament, and absolutely, I suppose, headlined that Thunder win, and fittingly ended the tournament by, hitting a 6 to seal the win for Sydney Thunder. So these were my 3. But in my head, I just feel like, I have to fit Shabnam Ismail in somewhere. I don't know, somehow bring in a du Preez, maybe a Amelia Kerr. So I'm still kind of weighing up my options as to, do I need 2 seam bowling all-rounders? Australia have plenty of seam bowlers in their ranks. So do I really need to have 2 overseas seam bowling all-rounders? So these are questions that are in my head. I'm still not entirely sure, whether I want both Siver and Devine, simply because they do the same things. But I guess if you put a gun to my head and said, say, pick 3, I guess it would be Devine, Siver, and Heather
Knight. Associate young children with in an ice cream shop, isn't it? There are many flavors, but just limited amount of money in the pocket. Which are the flavors you are going to choose, Gomesh?
I don't know. It's very hard, and it's also a bit unfair and to leave out the names that we are leaving out because of the performance that they have shown. But it is hard to look past Devine for the performance she has done for the Scorchers, leading a new team at the top of the order, joining with a new batting partner, and both have been absolutely brilliant. So Devine has to be there. She's been the player of the tournament as well. Because picking and Heather Knight, of course, for Sydney Thunders, 440 runs, and she has also taken 10 wickets with the ball. And it's very hard to leave those 2. They do walk into the 11. The third one is where I have to part ways and go to my bowling department, because instead of picking Skiver, I have to go to the bowling department, and I have gone with Ismail because I don't know, without her, Thunder would not even have won the final. So those are the 3 that I have. Sarah Glenn was difficult to leave out. She and Peschel has been brilliant in the power play for the Scorchers. A lot of names were very difficult to leave out, but I went with Ismail, Knight, and Devine.
Ismail's 4 overs, 12 runs, 2 wickets in the final kind of decisively turned the match in Sydney Thunder's favor. But is that also because you need a strong bowler in your lineup, Gomesh? 14 wickets in the season, and of course the experience that she brings, it's not, you can't really put it in numbers. So is that one reason why you kind of depart from having an overseas batter and have a bowler?
It is because there are a lot of young Australian players who came through this tournament, but there wasn't many experienced ones who stood apart in the Australian side at least. So I thought I would have a experienced overseas pick in the bowling department rather than going with all youngsters. Because as we have seen, it is the bowling that won the tournament rather than the batting of the Melbourne Stars.
I mean, I kind of agree with what Gomesh says in the fact that, it was the bowling that won the tournament. And it also, I guess it's a case with Siva that I think for me, she kind of squeezed her way into that top three simply because of the wickets she got. I don't think, while she scored 250 runs, I don't think she was as impactful with the bat as, anyone, as maybe an Alyssa Healy was. I think the argument that Gomesh has put across, I suppose I'm now beginning to slightly lean towards him because it does make sense to have an overseas pro leading the attack. And we saw the impact that Shabnam Ismail had for Sydney Thunder. And I guess if you weigh up, Siva's wickets against Ismail's, even though Siva has more wickets, I guess Ismail's wickets were more important. They were more impactful, and they were all top order batters. So, just the fact that your new ball bowler is getting probably the best batters in the opposition out, those 14 wickets are probably equal to maybe a 20, 22 wickets. So I'm probably now leaning towards that end, and maybe we'll have to leave an Ashley Siver out and have an out and out quick in Shabnam Ismail leading the attack.
I like how it was Gomesh's argument for having Shabnam Ismail and not the hashtag team pacer that made you switch sides, but Heather Knight, Sophie Devine, and Shabnam Ismail are our overseas picks. So around these, let's start building our team of the tournament, shall we? Gomesh, you first. Let's take the top order, top four. We have Devine and Heather Knight there. So who are the other top four or top five, depending on where you bat Knight and Devine?
I mean, it has to be a given. I mean, Lanning and Mooney walks in. Mooney at the top has been brilliant, even in the couple of matches that Devine didn't play. She has taken the leadership, and without them, I don't know how Scotsers would have performed if not for them. So Mooney and Devine opens for me. Again, Lanning with 6 half centuries and the kind of runs that she scored, the impact she had for Stars, and the captaincy, especially leading them into the first knockout stage in the first finals. Mooney, Devine, Lanning, and Heather Knight is the top 4 for me.
Mooney, Devine, Lanning, and Heather Knight. Is that something that you are going to go with, Ananya? Or is there a shifting or some players in and out there? Because remember, there's an enticing option in Alyssa Healy, and that's one to consider. And so is a Courtney Webb. And so what's your top 5 like?
My top 4 is actually exactly the same as Gomesh's. It's Mooney, Devine, Meg Lanning, and Heather Knight. I mean, Mooney and Devine, I guess, were the opening pair of the tournament, the best opening pair by far. So, it would be hard to separate them. Plus, Mooney, again, top run getter of the tournament. But someone for me who kind of, came into my mind was someone's name that I wrote down was Georgia Redmayne. I thought Georgia Redmayne had a breakout tournament. She was excellent for Brisbane Heat at the top of the order. Scored 300 odd runs and she was brilliant behind the stumps as well. I thought she was the reason Amelia Kerr got a lot of wickets. Jess Jonathan as well. She was very quick behind the stumps. I think she around 18 dismissals. So the best wicketkeeper in the tournament, and also was excellent with the bat as well. But I guess just the weight of runs, Mooney is probably going to edge her out. So I'm not going to argue in favor of Redmayne here. But yeah, the top 4 are the same. Again, Lanning was someone who, led Stars into their first final. I thought, we saw a different side of Meg Lanning this tournament. A Lanning who came out and hit her first or second ball for 6. We've never seen that in Australian colours. We've never seen that before. But she was just at her attacking best, probably that Trent Woodhill impact. So, that those are my top four. Number five, actually, this is something that I found very difficult to pick. I was thinking of Courtney Webb, the possibility of maybe Grace Harris, the possibility of Laura Kimmins, who's maybe going to come lower down. But these are the names in my head. I really liked the look of Courtney Webb. I thought she was excellent for Melbourne Renegades. Their only positive probably in the season. So I'm kind of leaning towards her. I know her performances or her runs didn't come in wins, but I thought she played some extremely counter-attacking innings. We saw in that Super game that Renegades won against the Stars as well, that she was the reason and she was the engine room behind that win. So I really like the look of Courtney Webb. So I would kind of pencil her in at number 5.
Like it already is a tough team to pick given the way the competition has spanned. But we've kind of finalized on Shabnim Ismail as one of our last 4, like 8, 9, 10, 11. So let's first move on there and fill those slots before kind of filling the blanks for the 5, 6, 7. So Shabnim Ismail is done. So who are the other 3 from 8, 9, 10, 11 for you, Ananya?
Yep. So my 8 to 11 are, it was very hard to pick. And now that we've put Shabnim Ismail in the mix in the 11, I've had to kind of change it up. So my 8, 9, 10, 11 are going to be Amanda Jade Wellington, simply because, she adds all-round value. She did very well for the strikers with the bat. She didn't fire in the beginning of the tournament, but I think we saw her at her innovative best towards the end of the tournament. Plus, she was excellent with the ball as well. So Amanda Jade Wellington at 8. Hannah Darlington for me at 9. She was, I think, she showed no signs of having second season blues. She was very, very good with the ball. Came in, bowled those crunch overs for Sydney Thunder. Executed her Yorkers exceptionally well under pressure. Hannah Darlington at 9 for me. Number 10 would be Sam Bates. I think Sam Bates was very, very good for Sydney Thunder, especially with the new ball in the power play, kind of holding one end up. I thought she showed a different side to her game, willing to flight the ball. She got turn off the surface as well sometimes. So I think Sam Bates for me is a shoe-in in the 11. So it's Wellington, Darlington, maybe Ismail ahead of Bates, and then Bates at number 11.
So do your picks differ from Ananya's Gomesh, number 8, 9, 10, 11? Because remember, there's Daniel Peschel with her performances, Sarah Coit with the numbers that she produced, 18 wickets this season. Do these people find a spot in your 11?
It was a bit of a contention between Darlington, Coit, and Peschel, especially Peschel with the new ball has been brilliant for Scorchers. But we have Ismail in the 11. So for the depth, I think Darlington would be a better option. And kind of agree with Ananya here. Wellington has been one of the bright lights for the strikers this season. She has contributed with the bat down the order in significant matches, and she has taken wickets as well. So it's the same Wellington, Darlington, Ismail, and Bates. Peschel was close, but I couldn't go with her.
Interesting to see Amanda Jade Wellington make the cut, and an interesting prospect in Alana King miss out. 16 wickets for her. Ananya, was it tough to kind of choose Wellington over King, and your thoughts behind this move?
Yeah, well, it definitely was. Alana King was someone who impressed everyone through the tournament. I think she was fiery, feisty, wanted to be in the contest all the time, and picked up crucial wickets for Melbourne Stars. So, and with the bat as well, she showed a side of her game that we hadn't seen consistently before. But I think in this tournament, she came in and she smashed those sixes quite consistently and quite effortlessly. I must say that she came in and she absolutely provided a lot of power to that Melbourne Stars lower order. So she was someone that I was definitely impressed with, someone whose name I certainly considered, but I feel like Wellington probably edged her out because one, she just provides a bit more flexibility with her ability with the bat. I think it's not just a gung-ho, I'm going for the boundary kind of batting, but there is innovation, there is a tactical nous that Alana King simply doesn't have. And I think also Wellington was a bit better with the ball And that's saying something, because I think Alana King probably had her best WBBL tournament so far with the ball. So yeah, it was something that I considered, but Wellington simply edged her out for me because I think her batting was slightly better.
Gumesh, would you want to make that final switch? Because I'm going to throw numbers at you. Alana King has a strike rate of 187 as opposed to Wellington, who was in the late 130. And in terms of wickets, again, Alana King has more than Wellington. So would you be kind of making a final switch before we move on to the middle part of our
Not really. I mean, not really. It is tempting, the strike rate is, but I mean, if I'm not wrong, I think Wellington has scored double the amount of runs that King has scored. So I think I'll go with Wellington.
You throw bigger numbers at me to make your point, and I take that as well. So Wellington, Darlington, Bates, and Ismail are our bottom four, the 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's now fill in the blanks of 5, 6, 7. There are so many names: Laura Kimmins, Grace Harris, and Natalie Sever. Of course, we've kind of eliminated her in the overseas battle. Sammy Jo Johnson. Gomesh, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Laura Kimmins and Sammy Jo Johnson works in for me. A strike rate over 200 and the impact she has had for the Heat. Kimmins is a fixed slot for me at 6, and she can even be moved around depending on the start the team gets. Same with Johnson. At times the Thunder have promoted her up the order just to go after the bowling, and we all know what she has done with the ball. I mean, she's the leading wicket taker after all. So 6 and 7 is Kimmins and Johnson for me.
I'm sure, Ananya, you'd also agree with having Laura Kimmins and Sammy Jo Johnson to kind of bolster the batting in the lower end. But it pretty much leaves us just to the one slot, that is Webb versus Grace Harris. So, or do you have any other player for that slot?
Well, the interesting name that I would throw up is Jess Jonassen. I feel like she needs to be discussed. She was leading Brisbane Heat, did quite well for them in the top order, and also picked up around 17 wickets. So she batted in the top 3 or 4 consistently for them. So I feel like that's a name that definitely needs to be discussed. I mean, like you said, Kimmins and Johnson probably, there's no argument there about their slots in the 11. But for me, I actually did not consider Grace Harris. Yes, she's an off-spinning option and probably provides a bit of variety to our attack, especially considering, we're probably backing Heather Knight to pull off that role as off-spinner. So, I mean, it was a toss-up between someone like Jonassen, her all-round ability, captaincy, the leadership that she brings, and Courtney Webb. I just feel like Courtney Webb was probably someone, like I said earlier, I actually really enjoyed watching. She scored 250 runs at a strike rate of around 110, 115, and really bolstered that Renegades batting lineup that looked extremely like they runs anywhere. So for me, it's between Courtney Webb and Jonassen. It's an interesting point about Harris, the variety that she will bring to the attack. But yeah, I'm not entirely buying the argument. I think it's logically it makes sense, but I feel like I'd rather go with Jonassen or Webb.
Glance at our side so far at this point tells us that there aren't many left-handers. And Gomesh, do you think that perhaps will kind of serve us well, having Jess Jonassen in the middle? Of course, she can deliver with the ball, 17 wickets, but also that changes up things a bit in terms of batting. She bats left-handed as opposed to Grace Harris and Courtney Webb, who both bat right-handed. So do you think that could be an interesting choice and she could make our side for the lower middle order section?
I mean, I just looked at certain numbers. Harris, all 3 of them have scored a very similar amount of runs, somewhere around 230, 240. Harris has 13 wickets, yes, but Jonassen in the middle order would really help because she can also be moved up to number 4 if there is an early inroad made by the opposition. She can be used either 4 or 5. Knight at 5 will provide probably more balance to the team as well. So I wouldn't mind Jonathan in the place of Harris, and of course Harris has batted a lot in the top order this season, and Webb doesn't bowl. So I would have Jonathan in the 5 at 5 or 4.
So perhaps that means Jonathan could probably make our 5, 6, 7, and of course as situation maybe we can push her up or down as the case may be. So that pretty much is how our 11 looks like, and let's have a 12th person. And what will the 12th person be? Will it be a bowler? Will it be a batter? Or a fielding position? Because there's Darcy Brown, an interesting prospect who was the 12th person in the official WBBL team of the tournament. There's of course Sarah Glenn again, but we could have her in the 12 because she's not in the 11, and she's one interesting name that we have to discuss. There's again Peschel and Coit who kind of we eliminated in the bowling discussion. So who could be your 12th person, Gomesh?
I think I would go with Nat Scaver as the 12th one because he's an all-rounder, and we don't know if there is any injury replacement, or she can add weight both with the bat and the ball, and it is unfair to leave her out of the 12 for the performance she has shown.
And then your 12th person?
Well, I guess I'd agree with him. I think Natalie Sciver, it was hard to leave her out, so it would be nice to have her as 12th. But as a fan of someone like Erin Burns, I would love to have Erin Burns as 12th. I mean, she can do anything. She's like the superhuman, and she was the best thing that happened to Sixers this season. Just her fielding was exceptional. So, I mean, I don't expect us to add her as 12th, but I mean, it was just a name that I wanted to throw out there. I think Sciver makes a lot of sense.
While we have Jonathan, let's close this entire discussion after talking about the captaincy. Is there an argument for having Jonathan as our captain? I can see the head shaking. Gomesh.
I mean, Lanning has to go. She has turned the things around for Stars from where they were last season to how they have ended. The kind of approach they have taken through this tournament and the brand of cricket that they played, it's very exciting to watch, and she should be captaining this team.
Right. This is Women's Quick Zone team of WBBL 06. I'm sure there'll be a lot of heartbreaks looking at the names and who have not made it. What does your team of WBBL look like? Let us know in the comment section, and also keep watching The Outside View.